It's amazing the skills and lessons we can take away from some of the first jobs we've ever had in our lives, and often those are in the hospitality industry, but some parents may have a hesitancy to put their kids into an industry where they could have run-ins with customers. Jason Agnew spoke with the CEO of the Charcoal Group of Restaurants and asked about the staffing challenges that are being reported by the hospitality industry.
We've actually been very, very good. I think that, I've heard the same things from so many in our industry. I've heard them from a lot of different walks of life. You're seeing things on the media, et cetera. Our experience has been very, very positive. I think for two reasons. Number one, we tend to retain our team members for a long time. Where a lot of companies celebrate 1, 2, 3 year anniversaries. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and even 30-year employees in our group. So we have a lot of long-term committed individuals. And then we are constantly bringing in individuals at a young age and throughout. I think people see us that are already in the industry as a desirable place to work. So we tend to have, pretty good fortunes where that comes.
Okay, so I think our audience out there, probably a lot of parents, and some of those parents may have a hesitancy to put their kids into the restaurant industry due to the hours, being harassed by customers. Why would you, as someone that is in that industry, say it's a good idea and a good opportunity?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been in the industry my entire life. It's what I started doing when I was very young, as young as 14 or 15. I started cooking and worked my way through the ranks, et cetera. And I think I'd always had a great respect for all of the people coming into our company. I think the individuals, the young people that started as hosts or dishwashers or prep cooks or whatever it might be, so many of them are the children of our regular guests who have come to know us and come to respect us and think that we would be people that might help foster some positive habits and positive perspectives in their kids. So I've had that experience my whole life. But add to that now that I'm a father of 4. And my kids are now between the ages of 17 and 24, and all of them have come through the restaurant business, which gave me a whole new perspective and one that I really value because, I've often looked at that relationship from an employer perspective. Now looking at it from a parent perspective and seeing my kids and knowing all of their strengths and their opportunities. And when we send them out into the workforce, of course, young kids are looking, they want to make a dollar. They want to be able to, pay to go out to a movie or to go out with their friends or maybe for the latest electronic device or save up for a car or something like that. Money's an important part of their objectives. But I looked at it very much as what kind of tools do they need for the toolbox? What are the habits, the skills that are going to set them up for winning and for success in so many different ways in their life. And as a father, I really looked at that. And for me, the restaurant, the hospitality industry offered the potential to develop a lot of those real world skills around interacting with the rest of the team, interacting with guests, interacting with suppliers or receiving practices. There's so many different attributes that they learn in our business.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, that's great. You've seen both sides, boss and parent. And when we talk about starter jobs, odds are we're talking about hiring Gen Z. How does the Gen Z work ethic, attitude, all of those things differ from previous generations?
I think about that, and it's funny. I think we always, and you've seen those newspaper articles that will talk about the kids of this generation, and then you read it, and it was printed in 1920 or something like that. I think it's very easy to put everybody and group them into, that their work ethic is lacking, or maybe their positivity, or maybe some of their skills. They're so used to looking at screens that they're not used to interacting. We've hired some incredible people, and when I think back on, there's some folks that don't necessarily fit in as well as others, but that's going way back to when I started out in the industry as well. So I'm not sure there's been a huge amount of changes, specifically in the people that we've hired. I think there's some real great individuals who have some real promising futures.
What do you look for? Someone walks in, it may be a first job, so there's not much on the resume, but what do you look for in that person that is applying for a job?
I think when a young person comes in for an interview, and it's certainly, again, when my kids were going in for an interview, so of my 4 kids, they've all worked in hospitality. 3 of them have gone through one of our businesses, and I've sat down with them as their dad, not as the CEO of the business, but I've tried to prep them and prepare them for interviews and set them up, regardless if it's for a restaurant or for anyone. I think that the parents can do this and sit down across from them, role play. It's a little hokey at first, but it's such a great practice to have them get used to it. Think about smiling at the same time, the positivity, how they interact, their enthusiasm, their excitement. And so I love when someone sits down across from me, they've taken care in how they've come to look. They're dressed a little sharper. They're sitting down. They're very respectful. They're smiling. They're enthusiastic. Those are the basic skills that you want to have them come in with and be able to interact in a positive way. that's tough for a lot of kids. And which is to me one of the first things that when I sent my kids off to work when they were 15, 16 was, can they just look grown-ups in the eye and smile and come to a realization that there's a place for them in the world, and then they can coexist and they can be successful in that way.